Hello lovely people, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, thanks for checking in, and if you are not a subscriber, thank you for coming back. So today we are going to be learning how to make a mermaid skirt with train at the back. We are going to be doing this in pretty simple steps, so follow. Now I'm just trying to measure the length that I'm going to be using for the skirt. I'm using 40 inches, as you can see. So I've gone ahead to mark my measurements, which is 40 inches for my skirt length. Take your own measurement as well. So I'm using 40 inches. This is included with the band. I'm not going to be cutting the band separately. Okay, so it's just from the waist down to the floor length that I desired. Okay, so I've gone ahead to mark it, as you can see. So now the next thing is for me to connect the measurements together. So just go ahead to just connect it together, just like you see me do. This is going to be very easy and simple. If you're a beginner, you can actually catch up with it. If you're an advanced, it will be very much more easier for you. So now the next thing is to measure my hip depth. So I'm going to be using 7 inches as my hip depth because this is a skirt, okay? And I'm not starting from like my natural waistline, you understand? So measure where the person put a skirt, then from there you measure it down to the hip line. So that is what is called the hip depth. Yeah, so that is the hip depth. That is where you'll be placing your hip circumference measurement. So this is going to work for adults, let's say from like hip 36 to like 44, 42, 44 or so. So just make sure you measure because our body varies, you understand? Some people, it might be the bum that they have that is big for them to get that measurement. So so it's very important that you measure. So I came down by ½ inch for allowance because I'm going to turn the upper part on the waist by ½ inch with my lining. So I need to take that into consideration, and that was exactly what I did. So that means I measure 7.5 inches. That is plus ½ inch turning allowance of the waist. Okay, now I hope you have all of your measurements. So I'm going to be placing my waist measurement, quarter of my waist measurements. Waist is 34, so 34 divided by 4. That was the measurements that I placed there. Make sure you take your accurate measurement. I already made a video on how to take accurate measurement of the body. So if you've not seen that, make sure you check that, because if you miss anything about the measurement, the whole outfit is going to be way off. So you're taking measurements accurately is actually the best thing you can do for yourself as a fashion designer. Okay, so you can check out the video if you're confused, or if you want me to do another video on how to take your measurements, let me know. So now I'm putting quarter of my hip measurement under my hip depth line. The hip is 42, so 42 divided by 4, that is what I placed there. Then I connected it to my waistline. So now you need to measure, the next thing is to measure your knee line. So I'm using 18 inches for this. Make sure you measure your own knee line because it's very important in getting that mermaid shape. Okay, so now to get a very fitted mermaid shape, I will advise you to what you will do is that you subtract 2 inches from your quarter of your waistline, then you place it there. So let's say the quarter of your waistline is 11 inches. So on your knee line, you're going to be putting 9 inches. So you subtract 2, you put 9 inches. So it's going to be very fitted. Okay. But if you don't want it to be too fitted, you can use like 1.5 to 1 inch so that you can still have, a bit of ease and movement. I hope you understand. So after getting your measurements like I did, then you connect it to your hip line. So now the next part is important, which is our hemline. That is where we are going to be working on, and that is what is going to give you that mermaid shape. Okay, so now you place quarter of your hip measurement on the hemline, just like you see me do. So you place quarter of your hip measurement, what you placed on your hip depth, let's say 11 inches, then you place it on your hemline. Then you add 5 to 6 inches for that mermaid shape. Okay, so you have like 5 to 6 inches is going to work perfectly. Yeah, so that is what you're going to do. If you can actually try to do more, but if you try to do more, it's going to like collapse kind of. So 5 to 6 inches is going to work perfectly. So you mark your 5 to 6 inches plus the quarter of your hip measurement, then you connect. So this is going to work perfectly for you. But like I said, I will just tell you how I did mine. You can always adjust. You can always adjust yours. So you can try to increase your measurement and you see what it's going to give you. You understand? So it's how you, when you try, then you see the results, then you adjust accordingly. You understand? So but I'm going to give you how it's supposed to be. So now the next thing after getting everything is to add my sewing allowance. So you just add so you remember that I just placed the quarter measurement of all of my horizontal measurements there. I didn't add any allowance. So after getting it, I'm just adding my allowances. I am adding 2 inches allowance to this. Then I'm going to connect it just like you see me do. So if you've gotten to this point and you're yet to subscribe, please make sure you press the subscribe button, and not just the subscribe button, make sure you press the notification bell so you will be notified whenever I drop another video. And if you have any request, make sure you put it in the comment section. Make sure you share, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and so that the platform is going to push it more to other audience that needs it. So the next thing is for you to cut, and we are basically done with the front part. And after that, I'm just going to notch the major part, which is the center and the hip line and the knee line. So now the next thing is to cut our back. So I already placed my front on the back measurements like you see me do. Then I added, you can see that the middle part, I started away from the middle part. That is going to be where zipper allowance is going to be. So I came out by 1.5 inches for my zipper allowance. Okay, so then the rest is very simple. You just cut the same shape as you did for the front. There is no, you can see it's very easy. There is nothing to worry about. Just add your zipper allowance to it, and then you cut the same shape as you cut your back. Like I said, this is going to be very simple and easy to do. Okay, so you just go ahead and then you cut all of it just like you see me do, and I have done it. Then after that, you divide the center line, which is where your zipper is going to stay. So you determine where you want, how many inches you want your zipper allowance to be. So I'm using 1.5 because I'm going to be turning ½ inch with my lining. So I'm going to have 1 inch for my zipper allowance at the end of the day. So I hope you understand. Just follow what I am doing. It's as simple as it's. So I'm explaining it's very simple. Okay, so now the next thing is to cut our lining. Because I'm trying to maximize my resources, I'm going to be using just 1 layer. Normally you're supposed to use 2 layers if you're working with transparent fabric like this lace. So you use 1 layer to laminate it, then you will now use 1 layer as your lining. I hope you understand, but I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be using just one layer. So you're going to see how I am going to do it. So what I did is that I want to work on the train part. So I measured my knee measurement, that is 18 inches. Then I came in by the allowance I left, zipper allowance, which is 1.5. Yeah, so I came in by 1.5. So now on the down part, you're going to go in by like, let's say 5 to 6 inches. Okay, you can go like 5 to 6 inches or like 6 to 8 inches. Okay, just see what the reason why we are doing this is that so that when we attach our train to the middle of the back, is going to have enough space to flow. I hope you understand. So you cut out like 6 to 8 inches, 5 to 8 inches. So you just cut it out just the way I marked it. You cut it out, but I'm not cutting it out yet. Okay, so but if you want to put your train, just cut it out just like you see me do. I hope you understand. So I'm just going to explain how I am going to be attaching my lining to this to give it a full and neat finishing. I told you that I'm just going to be using one layer, so I'm going to show you how to make it neat so that your seams are not going to be showing on the right side after sewing. So what you need to do is that you place your lining on the right side, then you're going to stitch the sides with 1/2 inch. Remember that it is 2 inches that we have for our allowance, so we are going to stitch 1/2 inch on both sides. Then the upper part, I told you that I'm not adding another band to it, so I'm also going to stitch the upper part as well. Then I'm going to turn it over. So by so doing, we've already covered the sides of the front, and also we've covered the upper part, which is where our waistline is going to be. So now it's going to be remaining 1.5 inch for our stitching allowance. Okay, because we already used 1/2 inch to turn the fabric. I hope you understand. It's very simple. So I'm just going to repeat the same process for the back as well. So you place your lining on the right side. So after you place your lining on the right side, make sure that you've already cut out where we're going to be putting our train. Okay, I'm not doing that. Okay, but I just want to show you how you're going to do yours. So you cut out that part. Make sure you already cut out that part. So now the next thing is just like I said earlier, I just cut out that part. Just cut out that part already, but I'm not doing it yet. Okay, so now for our train, this is how you're going to do your train. You measure the length of where you cut out. See where I placed my tape measure, so you measure it. So that is going to be the length of our train, like where we are going to be joining to the back piece. We need that measurement. So now say I'm going to fold my fabric, so we are going to fold it 90 degrees, as if you want to cut a 90-degree flay. You can see what I did, like as if you fold on bias. So you see what I did. So you just place your fabric like so. See how I did it. Then you now fold it in that triangular form, as if you want to cut 90-degree flay, or you want to cut on bias. See, it's very simple like that. You can see what I did. So you just make sure that everything is perfectly aligned and arranged. So now the measurement that we took for the center back where we cut out, so you're going to be placing the measurements here on the open part of your bias, okay, where you folded, where we measured here. Remember, so we measured 23 inches. You're going to be placing 23 inches on the open end. Make sure it is at the open end, because that is where we're going to be joining to the main fabric. So you place the measurement. We measure 23 inches, so you measure 23 inches to that place. Now the next thing is to determine how long you want your train to be. So you can measure your client where you want the train to be, where she wants the train to be. So you measure it. So after you've gotten, let's say you want 36, so you mark 36 on the other edge like that. Then you connect. So if it is 40 inches, you also mark 40 inches, then you connect. You understand? This fabric is just 3 yards, so it's still going to work perfectly for it if you use 3 yards and use the same measurements. But if you want it to be fuller and more lengthier, you can use like 3 to 5 inches if you're sewing for the upper part and the lower parts, like your skirts and the blouse or a gown. Okay, so after you've cut it out, this is where you marked it. then you place it. But before you place it, make sure that you've already stitched the back, like you've already put your zipper and then you've already stitched it to that part that you cut. So after after you've done that, all you need to do is just place and sew your train to the main fabric, which is the skirt, the outfit. So it's very simple and it's very easy to do. If you're confused, just watch it over again so that you will be clear. So I just thought to show you the progress of what I did, so that if you're confused about any parts, this part is going to give you clarification on what to do and how to go about it. So I told you that we are going to join, we are going to sew the fabric on the right side. You're lining to your fabric, and I've done that and I've turned it to the wrong side so you can see that it is neat. So I've done it for the two parts, which of the back. So I sewed the where the zipper allowance is going to be, and also the side back. I've done the same thing for the back as well. You can see that this is looking neat. So now you go ahead and you iron it out, so that when you want to stitch, you're not going to be stitching more than you. If it is rumpled like this, you one part of the lace might be hidden, or the lining might be hidden. But once you iron everything out, everything is going to be outside, and then you be sure that you are joining with the correct allowance. Okay, so I'm just trying to reinforce what I said earlier to give you a visual representation in case you were confused at any point. So you place the side together like so. That's the center back. Remember that we have 1 inch left because we already used 0.5 to turn the lining to the wrong side. So I'm just trying to pin it down so that you understand better. So you can go ahead and then you also pin yours down. It is very important. Like I said, and if you've watched a lot of my tutorials, you understand that I used to emphasize on pinning. So pin. So all you need to do, you mark your 1 inch. Then you determine the length of your zipper, where you want your zipper to stop. So let's say you want your zipper to stop like 7 inch. So you mark it to that 7 inch. Then you mark down to your knee line. You remember that you must have cut out where you want your train to be. So you just sew it down with 1 inch. Remember, it's remaining 1 inch. So you just sew the remaining inch. It's just like the same way we fix our zipper for our skirt. So it's just the same step. There is nothing complicated about this. Well, because I did not cut it out, so it might be a bit confusing, but just watch what I am doing. So you just sew it down to where your measurement is at, and you must have cut out that part because that is where your train is going to be. So you stitch it to where you cut out. So you stitch it to where you cut out. Yeah. Then after that, you place your train to that part, and it's very easy like that. Then you fix your zipper on the remaining upper part like so. So now after you've done that, you know that we have just one single piece for the back, so and then we have one single piece for the front. So now the next thing is to join the sides together. Remember that we added 2 inches for the side allowance, then we used ½ inch to turn. So now we have 1.5 inch left. So you are going to be using 1.5 inch to join the side. Like, this is dependent on you, depending on the amount of allowance that you use, and also if you actually laminated your fabric, if you did not go through this process of using just one layer. Okay, remember that I'm just trying to maximize my resources. So and then you sew, and you voila, you're done. You iron it out, and your mermaid skirt with train is perfectly made. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you like. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.